Had you ever heard of the third rail?
No, but I then proceeded to try and get off, fell backwards, and I, in the process, lost my ear and gained, I think 15% of my body has third-degree burns on it. And oh yeah, I've not got an ear, and they go, oh, that's gross.
No!
Yeah, and they go, that's disgusting. Like, what do you mean you don't have an ear? Or they go, oh, your legs are really dented. Oh, well, this is just natural selection. Yeah, people were telling me that my accident was natural selection, and I then made a video about how I put my prosthetic ear on, and I think that one got 18 million views.
You got 18 million views on this video.
I mean, your average household socket is 420, and people die from sticking forks in them.
What is the third rail, Kiera?
So, the third rail...
Hi there, I hope you're keeping well. Today I feel so lucky to be speaking with my next guest. My next guest today is Kiera Hoare. She's a wonderful, wonderful human who has very kindly agreed today to speak to me about her story and discuss a topic which is probably quite close to her heart now, and a topic which I also don't believe is being spoken about enough, which is rail safety. So Kiera, thank you.
It's okay.
And just before we begin, oh bless you, I just want to say, you tell me as much, as little. Yeah. It's your story, and this is why I felt it was really important for you to come on today, because I wanted you to raise awareness and kind of get the conversation going on rail safety. Yeah, something that's really
not talked about enough.
It's really not, and it's a quite important subject. So thank you for just trusting me with your story as well. I'm going to hand the reins over to you, and I want you to just kind of, you let me know what happened on that night.
So I think it was 11th of January 2022.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had been I'd been out with my ex-partner and a couple of friends, and we'd decided to go back home. Got a taxi back to my local train station, and we'd gone, let's go take some photos down on the tracks. So I've gone down to go and take a photo, and so with the tracks as the third rail, I went down, took a photo, and then stepped both feet on either side of the third rail and made a current between myself and got electrocuted. And I mean, it was a lot of... I don't fully remember it. I only remember it from a story that was obviously told to me by my ex-partner. Sorry.
Take your time, honestly.
I'd got on and got electrocuted, and then he'd said that I needed to try and get off. So I then proceeded to try and get off, fell backwards, and I, in the process, lost my ear and gained, I think 15% of my body has third-degree burns on it. I was then induced into a coma for 2.5 weeks, and then woke up and was in hospital for 4 months until I finally went home. And as quick as it can be, that's how it went.
Yeah. So essentially, your story is you sadly one night went down on the train tracks because... I've
also within my life struggled with ADHD. So when people tell me, oh no, you probably shouldn't do that, it's probably unsafe, it's kind of, get out of it, I'll do it anyway. Which has always been my downfall. But so I've got on, and I didn't realise, because I was never told that lines were electric. I kind of just, it sounds silly, but I assumed they ran on diesel or whatever, however they worked. So when it happened, I obviously woke up, and first thing I asked the hospital was, I must have had a good night. Okay, I mean, why am I here? And they were like, when am I going home? And they go, well, probably not for 7 months. And then you need to go to a rehab facility. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going home.
Oh, my word.
But yeah.
So what was your first thought when you woke up in hospital?
When I woke up, I was more worried about where my ex-partner was at the time. Because he was the last person I remember being with. Yeah. I'd obviously... At the time, I had an air tube down my throat to make sure that my lungs were getting enough air, because they collapsed and got infected, and I had pneumonia during my coma. So the last thing I remember is being at the station with my partner, and then I woke up and had tried to write, where is he and where's where's everyone else? Why am I in a white room with nurses around me, kind of thing? And they obviously had to explain to me what was happening I think it was a week later, because I was too incoherent to process anything. But yeah.
With when you went, was it late at night? You were on the tracks?
Yeah, so I think we'd got back from being out. We'd been out for a friend's birthday, and we got a taxi back at around, I think, 10:30.
Okay.
Maybe 11. So at this point, there was no air ambulances, which their original plan was to get a helicopter to come down and pick me up, because it would have been much faster.
Yeah.
But I think there was a lot of lights and that kind of thing. That is one thing I remember, is there being a lot of flashing lights. But yeah.
Wow. And this was 2 years ago. You're 18 now, Kiera.
Yes, so at the time I was 16.
You were 16.
Yeah, I think I was closer to being 17 than I was 16. Okay. But it was still I had a lot of my teenage years stripped from me. Yeah. Which was probably the hardest bit, was staying in hospital knowing that everyone else was kind of getting on with their life and doing college, and I'd only just started, and I'd been waiting to go to college because I'd just not been good in education throughout my life. Always struggled with authority, so it was as soon as I got to college, it was like everything had just been flipped, and I was like, oh great.
You were waiting for that new chapter to begin.
Yeah, and it was almost, I think, because it happened so quick, I got carried away and did something very silly that ended me up where I am now. But
exactly.
Yeah, so obviously because of that, I lost my ear. I had a piece of titanium grade jewellery in my ear, and it was the only proper piece of metal in my body. And obviously, as you can tell, I've got quite a few piercings. Yeah. At the time, I had up to my fourths done, and they were all kind of, Claire's piercings. So
you've got piercings up your ear?
Yeah, so I had piercings on either side, and the only one that was proper grade was my cartilage, and it's obviously made a connection between the rail, and I think ex-partner at the time had said that he saw the electricity between my ear and the track as it was kind of connecting, and he watched it get burnt. And I mean, it must have been horrible for him, but it was obviously woke up, and we've made a running joke that my ear looked like a Shrek ear.
A Shrek ear?
Yeah, because it had shriveled up, because it'd been cauterized from the electricity. So when obviously I think the main part of this is that my ex-partner had pulled me off the tracks, and if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be alive, because I'd gone down, fell over, and I'd fainted. There was no way I was getting back off. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my word.
Yeah.
You think if he was not there, Kiera?
Oh, 100% no. I'd be 6 feet down. Do you know what I mean? As sad as it is to think about, he saved my life, and due to personal reasons, we didn't work out. But
of course, yeah.
It was a very strange time being in the hospital, not really understanding why it happened, what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've now got my fake ear.
You've now got a prosthetic ear.
Yeah, I've now got a prosthetic ear down the line, which there's a scar you can see around there, because my skull was exposed for quite a while.
Wow.
Because all of the skin around, you kind of got all your skin around here. They had to amputate all of that along with my ear. So I had maybe 7 centimetres up and 5 centimetres right and back of just skull open. Which obviously when your bone is what's the word? Exposed, yeah. When your bone is exposed to air, it tends to die because it doesn't have a proper blood flow.
Yeah.
So during a surgery I think I've had 13 surgeries now.
Okay.
Oh, a lot of it was more debridement for the 3rd-degree burns on my legs, but they completely had to take out my eardrum and my skull because it had all died and got infected. So I'm obviously now deaf on this side, and then they replaced kind of the hole with a piece of skin from my latissimus dorsi.
Wow. So you've had skin grafts?
Yeah, so I've got skin grafts on my left thigh from where they've taken skin off to try and help regrow more. Yeah. But I think it's what's called a skin flap.
Okay.
Which sounds very funny because we kind of... But yeah, so they've made this kind of circle slot it in, and it's...
So from your accident, you suffered from 3rd-degree burns.
Yes.
And your ear was amputated.
Yeah. So it was, I think when I went in, my body just was trying to give up, in a sense of it didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So I think my kidneys and my liver started to fail. Obviously I had pneumonia. I had 2 brain bleeds, which ended up reabsorbing very quickly. They normally reabsorb, I think it's within 2 months, and mine had reabsorbed within, I think it was 4 weeks or something.
Oh, okay. Did they say why?
No, it was just a case of, I don't think they were that bad, but obviously my brain had bled.
Of course, yeah, minor.
Yeah, but luckily I went for a neurological test a while ago, and they've said that my IQ or my memory or anything hasn't been affected, luckily.
That's so good.
Yeah, so I haven't got any long-lasting brain damage, which is what they were worried about in the first place.
Okay, yeah.
Which is good, but my memory's still shocking anyway, so...
But was it like that prior?
Yeah.
You were...
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't remember diddly.
Yeah. So that's a lot. From what you're explaining to me now, that's a lot for a 16-year-old to go through, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard because I don't... You know me, I don't mean to be like, I went through everything. I've had it harder than everyone else, because that's not how it is. But it was a very stressful period, and then I think the only thing that got me through was being mentally fine enough and making jokes about it and pretending, we're going to go home soon, it'll be fine. That was the only thing that was a worry to me, it was so uncertain of when I was going home. And for a 16-year-old who couldn't really, I fit into that dip where you're not really a child anymore, but you're not really an adult, so you're not a paediatric patient, but I can't be treated as an adult because I'm not. So that was very hard, kind of being chucked around different departments, no one communicating.
Really? Was it like that for you?
Well, the one way me and my parents put it is that the NHS are wonderful. They did so much for me. Again, obviously, my ex-partner saved me, but the NHS, I wouldn't have been able to live if they hadn't done anything. Do you know what I mean? So they are very good as individual departments, but within their communication to each other, it sometimes just gets completely pushed to the side. I mean, surgeries will get cancelled, or admin won't even know you're going in for a surgery, just because there's so much on their hands that they don't communicate. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the main issues. But
wow.
Yeah.
Prior to your accident, had you ever heard of the third rail?
No, not at all. Not in education, not via social media, nothing. And I remember I made a TikTok about this whole thing, about my accident, and I'd made kind of a comedy skit or whatever it was. And people were in the comments going, oh, well, how didn't you know? Like, you must be thick, or, oh well, this is just natural selection. People were telling me that my accident was natural selection, and I was like, common sense is taught.
Yes.
You don't know fire's hot until you touch it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's very difficult, and I think that's why it needs to be talked about so much more, because even my friends, when it first happened, they go, well, I've crossed tracks all the time. Even in London, people will go, I can't be bothered to go down the stairs. I'll just run over quick. And they don't realise. I think there was a Network Rail also had a case with a girl called Tegan, who had almost the same accident as me, but she had gone into cardiac arrest because she crossed over the track and went arm first into it, and it shot through her body. And luckily she's fine now. She's got a child. Yeah, she's got a baby. She was in hospital for a very long time, but we talked for a long time about everything and how we've both got very similar scars.
Oh, that's so nice. You've been able to speak to her.
Yeah, it was very strange because I think it was her that had messaged me saying kind of, I heard what happened. I just want you to know that there is someone else that understands. Wow. And that was definitely a breaking point for me to be able to get better, was knowing that there was actually someone who knew what I felt like, not being able to move in the hospital or anything.
To have that reassurance, oh my word.
Yeah, 100%.
Like creating your own support group.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, my initial support group is my family. I wouldn't have, as soppy as it sounds, I wouldn't have done any of this without my family. I mean, my dad's paid for private physiotherapy. My mum came up every single day to the hospital, apart from when she was in Cornwall for her little week break, her second home.
So those 4 months?
Yeah, 4 months. My mum came up every single day from
Wow.
2 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Oh.
Luckily, the hospital was very lenient with visiting hours, because of the extent of my injuries, I was in my own room in an adult's ward, but at the time I was 16, but that's because I really struggle with noise and kind of babies crying, and I felt really bad because there was a child across from me who couldn't breathe properly. And I felt so sad. I was kind of like, I can't deal with the external noise. I need to be somewhere that's a little bit less children. So
that was actually going to be my next question, was how are your family, how did they cope with this incident?
I think initially it was 100% shock, because I live 3 minutes away, at that 30-second drive from where I got electrocuted. We were originally planning to just walk home, but we'd gone, we'll go take some photos. And then obviously my ex-partner's called my parents and gone, something's happened. We've called an ambulance. Kiera's on the tracks. And when they got there, I think my mum had, in a state of shock, snapped at him and said, "Why'd you let her on?"
Of course.
Kind of thing. And my dad was kind of just there going, he doesn't know what to do. But they both came up and they stayed in the hospital the whole night until they knew that I was stable enough for them to go home. And I mean, my dad works for an architectural company, and his boss was currently renting out an apartment in Chelsea and Westminster, which was where I was in the burns unit. And he had said to my dad, "Look, Kiera's going to be in there for a while. Your wife, obviously my mum, can have that apartment."
Really?
So my mum had a place to live whilst I was in Chelsea and Westminster, which was, I think, for 4 weeks I was in there, because that was a burns unit.
Yeah. Did you go to that unit before going to?
Yes. No, so I think I went to St George's and got induced into the coma. I had emergency surgery, and then they transported me to Chelsea and Westminster.
Yeah.
But that's where I was originally. Yeah, that's where I woke up.
Wow.
But he gave my mum this flat, and she lived there for a couple of weeks, and then
she relocated as well.
Yeah, to be close to me. And it was so funny. She used to tell me, when I got moved into my second room, there was a river right outside. It was a massive river, probably the River Thames, but probably. Across that river was her apartment, and she used to say when she'd leave, she'd go, "I'm literally across the window." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And obviously I was so dragged up.
And that stayed with you though?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even whilst I was on copious amounts of ketamine, because of the
pain.
Yeah, the pain management and everything, I still knew that kind of across the window was my mum, and she was close if anything did happen.
Oh, you just knew that reassurance that she was there.
It was just nice to know that someone was there.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, our family circle is very tight, and my sister kind of ended up being a glass child for a while, because she had to stay at home, take care of the dogs, and she'd be there all day alone with my mum and dad up with me. And I mean, she dealt with it ridiculously well.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole night. When it actually had happened originally, my mum and dad obviously left to come be with me, and she sat there the whole night, just waiting to hear something about how I was.
How old's your sister?
She's 22 now.
Yeah.
So she was, I want to say 21, maybe 20 when it happened.
Oh my word.
So yeah, she kind of...
You think this happens, or like this awful tragedy has happened to yourself, but then it's the ripple effect of like your family, your friends.
Oh,
and, like,
100%.
It's such a scary, so scary. I can't even imagine what you've been through and how your family have coped and supported you. And it sounds like you've just got the most amazing family. I've just met your dad, and he seems so sweet.
Oh, I know, he's lovely. His name's Greg.
He's so great.
Greg and Emma. But they, I mean, they were just great. That's all I can say is they were great. I couldn't have asked for anything more.
No.
My dad used to, I think it was because at our house during winter we make roast dinner every Sunday, obviously. Classic
dream.
English, you know.
Yeah, dream.
He made an entire roast dinner and brought it up for me in a heated bag.
Did he?
Yeah, once. He used to make fajitas.
Oh,
he'd bring
my
up
word.
fajitas. He'd bring up
Dad
spaghetti
of the
bolognese.
century.
Honestly, dad of the century. He'd sit at home, make food, drive the 1.5 hour trip to come and see me in St George's at rush hour. It was just,
Oh, Kiera,
But
that's so sweet.
the ripple effect definitely, I mean, it's made all of me and my friends kind of hyper vigilant, and my family as well, because I think there's a statistic where someone in the family gets in a freak accident, everyone else in that family is more likely to be in another freak accident.
No.
It's a weird statistic, but I think it is.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I know. I constantly worry about it.
Yeah, you're constantly on edge.
Yeah.
So with the reason that you were electrocuted was because of the third rail.
Yes.
Back to my prior question was, had you ever heard of it? Because when I first met you, Kiera, and you told me about your story, I was really, one, moved. Two, I was so shocked at how incredibly brave you were. Because, and still are.
Yeah.
The way you described it to me, I was really taken aback about how well you were describing.
How I just kind of explained it like it was, do you know what I did yesterday?
Yeah, it was literally like, this happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I had to take two kind of
I
stares
remember
at
you
you.
sat
I was like,
and
wait,
you looked
what?
at me and you were like, hold on a second, wait, you've only got one ear.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wow, you were very, and I think you're an incredibly strong person. Your character, right? You should be so proud of yourself and how you've handled this. And when I met you when I got home that night, I was like, oh my word. I went straight to my mum and I told her, I've just met this most amazing person.
Yeah.
And even she said, the third rail. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it. What is the third rail, Kiera?
So the third rail is, especially, let's say you've got two running tracks.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to a London station like Carshalton and Clapham Junction, they've got these two tracks, and in the middle there is an elevated track that is a lot thinner, but still it looks like another train track.
Okay.
But it's elevated above the others, and it carries, I think it's 750 to 1,000 volts of electricity at all times.
Yeah. That's a lot.
I mean, your average household socket is 420, and people die from sticking forks in them. Do you know what I mean? It's people know about that kind of thing, but why don't they know? But then you beg the differ of, you shouldn't be down on a track anyway.
Yeah.
I think the main reason I'd told myself it was safe was because it was during the re-spark of COVID in January. So there was no trains in my village because it was Holmwood Station, tiny little station in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
There was no trains, so I'd gone, it's fine to go down. And all of that, now looking back at it, I'd originally said that there was no signs at the station. That's not true. I've since going down there again, I've had to look for them. They're not out in the open. You can't just see them. Yeah. And I think they definitely need to be in more.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit more insight.
Well, yeah, this is the thing.
And I think with the third rail, from doing my research, and yes, I saw that it has 750 volts, and like you say, some of your household appliances so a toaster carries 110 volts in typically. Yeah. That was more than 6 times of that was running through your body.
For about a minute and a half, yeah.
That's unreal. That is unbelievable. In fact, it's quite unbelievable, right? Yeah. That's not even a flippant comment. Yeah. And when we go back to saying it's common sense, you don't go down the train tracks, and we'd say that. Of course it is. But also it's not, because
when you're in the moment, you've had a drink, you go,
well, of course,
this photo's so worth it.
I have seen a lot of people on TikTok. In fact, oh my word, I was on TikTok yesterday morning and I was going through it. There was a guy travelling in Thailand and he went, he had a camera up and he was like, look at me, I'm on this abandoned train track. Yeah. There's no trains on it. So I went up there to take some cool photos. The next video was him laughing because he was like, actually there's a train coming. And it was a train, fine. He could step down and he was watching it and he let it pass by. But I was like, oh my word. And I thought, my word, I'm actually speaking to Kiera tomorrow. And
it's all right.
It's not as obvious, unfortunately. And a lot of people don't know about the third rail. I don't know about the third rail. And I reached out to Network Rail the other day, who was so fantastic and just sat and spoke with me about all these facts and statistics of what they have recorded. Yeah. They told me they have around 19,000 trespasses recorded a year.
I know.
Recorded a year. And then
that's obviously recorded.
That's recorded.
Do you know what I mean?
They don't know about every single incident. And then they went on to tell me that 20% of those recorded trespasses are of people under the age of 18. Yeah. And
people can have their life taken away from them
they can
immediately. And obviously I have days where I go, I kind of wish I wasn't here to tell the story, but I mean, then you have more people going down and doing the same thing.
Yeah. But I think you're like a miracle baby. I'm so, oh gosh, I couldn't imagine. Like, I'm so happy you are here to tell the story, because I don't think you're a silly girl. I think you fell into an accident that people get life just catches them right off guard, and
sometimes,
and then you've gone down, and this tragedy's happened, and Network Rail was saying a lot of trespasses aren't just people playing around tracks.
Yeah, it's people...
These are people going down to just retrieve items they've lost.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had people with an umbrella want to go down. They lose their AirPods, their phones drop down there. People are going down to get the most bizarrest of things, and you think it's not worth it. It's just not worth it
at all. But obviously, in the moment, it's not, unless it's been drilled into you since birth. Or don't go on train tracks because you'll get electrocuted. Because that's the thing. I've always been told, don't go on train tracks because there's trains. It's like, well, yeah, obviously, but no one kind of says the whole, well, also,
there's that third rail. There's that third rail, and I never got taught this at school. I don't know if you did. I don't, and I said actually to Network Rail the other day, I haven't seen, we used to see those adverts on television. The best way I could describe it, if you've seen it, I'm pretty sure most people have seen it. It's like a cigarette packet, but in an advert form. That scary worst case scenario.
Well, and they have the horrible photos.
Of course. And I said to them, and I haven't seen a video since around 2018, and doing my research, it hasn't. There's not been a lot of update. Even within my research, Kiera, that's probably why I reached out to them, because I actually didn't find a lot about...
No, when you look it up online, it's mainly just... Sorry for...
No, please, yeah.
When you look it up, it's kind of just, people getting hit by trains or that kind of stuff. There is not much on it at all. But I mean, every now and then I'll get like an advert come up on Snapchat or something that's like, don't go trackside. But it will be a very short 3-snippet video that someone's immediately just going to skip past because they go, I don't care. Yeah. Those videos, I mean, back in the day where it was kind of, you watched someone get electrocuted. But I mean, it's also as well, you think about it, you look at cigarette packets and you see everyone. I mean, I smoke and I look at a cigarette packet and I go, open it back up. You don't think about it because it's what you're used to. And I think you need the shock value to be able to get into people's cores. But then it's also, you go, well, some people already know because they're not stupid. Because with that TikTok, they obviously, a lot of comments were, oh, well, you must be stupid then. And it's like, it was a mistake that I can own up to now. Yeah. But it's a mistake. You make mistakes.
It's a mistake, and I think you definitely know.
Oh well, I 100% know. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm now living with disability.
Yeah. But you said prior to that was you didn't know of the third rail.
No, not at all.
And it exists. It's down there. Yeah, it's dangerous.
In my village, a train I used to get every single day for 4 years in secondary school. I used to get that train every morning and every day back. And I didn't know once that underneath me was just like electricity. Yeah. And it's very strange to know that I got that train every day. And then one day just decided, you know what, I'll go down and take a photo. That'll be cool. Yeah. And then life just gets completely flipped around.
Absolutely.
But obviously, after everything happened, Network Rail had contacted me and said, we'd love to do an advert with you, obviously, when you're ready. Well, I don't know if you could call it an advert.
Campaign.
Yeah, a campaign to... which will be obviously broadcasted, and it will be my story, which is very... I struggle sometimes talking about it because I get in my head that people think I'm boasting about it.
No.
Yeah, because I feel like people worry, oh, you talk about it too much, or, oh, are you making this your personality? And I'm like, well, it's hard because at the end of the day, it kind of is. It's a part of me that I can't ignore. I mean, when I go out on dates with people, I have to tell them over the phone before I go, look, just so you know, I have 3rd-degree burns. I have scars. I've only got one ear. I'm deaf. I've got a splint that I wear on my left foot. Is that going to be an issue for you? And I've had people go when I've kind of not met up with them, but talk to people over the phone, and then I've gone, oh yeah, I've not got an ear, and they go, oh, that's gross.
No.
Yeah, and they go, that's disgusting. Like, what do you mean you don't have an ear? Or they go, oh, your legs are really dented. Like,
in the bin.
Yeah, because I'm not perfect
Goodbye.
Love Island beach body. It's like, yeah. So people will sometimes say that, and it's almost become natural for me to explain to people that I'm deaf. I've got problems.
But, you don't have problems. I think you're an amazing person, and
thank you.
I think you are so brave, and now you educate people on this, and you're telling people about your story.
Yeah.
Touching on base of you educating people, you said earlier about your TikToks.
Yes.
You posted a couple of TikToks when the accident happened.
Yes. So originally when I was first in obviously the hospital, and I kind of got my phone back. Realised what was going on, I thought, well, the only way I'm going to be able to cope with this is through humour. That's how I've coped with kind of everything in my life, is make sure you know about it, but make a joke out of it, because it will be in the past eventually.
Yeah.
But I'd obviously made this TikTok with a sound that was like, you think you're so funny. And it went viral. I think it had 8 million views.
You got a lot of views.
Yeah, that one went quite far, and it was a strange feeling for a 16-year-old in a hospital bed, because obviously when I put it out there, I kind of said to myself, look, I'm asking for people to give their opinion. Whenever you put anything out on social media, you ask for people's opinion. And there was obviously a lot of people, again, saying all this negative stuff, but there was a lot of people that go, do you know what? I really appreciate you making this kind of video explaining what had happened, because or people going, oh, I've showed this to my daughter because there's not enough said on it, kind of thing.
That's exactly what you needed.
Yeah, so I posted that, and I gained a little bit of a following from that, but you know how it is on TikTok, you follow someone, you never look at their account again, which but I then made a video about how I put my prosthetic ear on, and I think that one got 18 million views.
You got 18 million views on this video. This
and it
video
had 2 million likes, and I think it was like a minute and a half long or something. But it was just, I feel like when people think of prosthetics, they think of kind of, who's that swimmer with the fake leg?
Oh no.
It's not Tom Daley, is it?
No. Don't Tom Daley.
I thought it's not Tom Daley.
Oh no. Oh, don't ask me swimmer names. I'm not great.
No, but there's obviously, when you think of prosthetics, you think of people with fake legs or fake arms or stuff like that, and you don't really think about kind of fake ears or fake eyes and noses and fingers and stuff like that. Wow. And I remember when I went in and she made this ear for me, and I was like, that's insane.
Who made the ear?
I don't know her name, but she works for St. George's Prosthetics.
So it's with the hospital, right?
Yes, the Maxim... No, not Maximilian. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's at the St. George's Hospital in Tooting. But yeah, so I'd made this video, how to put it on and everything, and there was a lot of people who were like, this is wicked. Like,
it is really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
watching you do it.
There's 3 different types of, obviously, fake ears. There's a reconstructed ear, which is a completely, like, it's almost regrowing an ear as a sense. So they take, what they were going to do with me, at least, when they put it on the table of having a reconstructed ear, was they'd take cartilage from my ribs.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they take out one of my ribs and kind of shave some cartilage off of it, and then so obviously in your ear you got your cartilage.
Of course you are.
So they then reshape the cartilage inside my ear, and then they inflate the skin on the back of my neck so it stretches, and then they take a square off and fit it over the cartilage. It's probably not the technical term, but you get the idea.
Yeah,
they basically make an entirely new ear, and then would have put it over. So that's what I had this skin flap for, was for a reconstructed ear to be able to sit on it. But because there is no skull underneath, there is nothing for any of the cartilage or anything to attach to anymore. So we kind of swept that off the table. But that is, I'd love to see a real reconstructed ear in life, because it's insane some of the surgeries they can do.
Really?
Yeah. I had my surgeon was Dr. Lone. He, or Mr. Lone, I think he likes to be called. He's insane. He does breast reconstruction, plastic surgery.
Wow.
You can look him up, I'm pretty sure, on just on
I might
Google.
have to after this.
Yeah. But yeah, so you then got a magnetic ear, which is where they'll screw a magnetic just a magnet inside your skull, and then you'll have this ear.
Wow.
It will have a magnet on it, and then you can just attach it and you can take it on and off. But again, I didn't have the skull for them to put the magnet on, so they gave me just a stick-on ear, which is
incredible.
Exactly.
And when I first met you, I never would have guessed.
You can obviously tell where the line of my scar is.
I'm wondering if they can see it properly. It's just amazing. And you've had it pierced? So it's back to your ear. It's personalised.
So my sister is a body piercer. It's body piercing on Instagram. But it was so funny. I walked into the studio and I said, "Oh, Meg, do you mind piercing my ear?" And she was like, "Oh, what do you want?" And I chucked my ear down on the table and I go, "Just do a full set. Do whatever you want."
Won't feel the pain, will you?
Won't feel the pain, will I? It's prosthetic.
Wow.
So yeah, I'd obviously done that TikTok though on it, and people going, "Oh, the piercings are so cool in it," or "You can barely notice."
Yeah.
And
you really couldn't though.
It's hard because a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you can barely notice it. You can't tell." But obviously, to me, when I look face on, I can tell that one side of my face is bigger than the other, and that's where I struggle with people telling me, "Oh, it's not obvious," and I'm kind of like, "Oh."
It's in your own head, and it's got to, it's how you see it. Like,
which is why I kind of almost, again, I worry that people think I'm bragging, but I wanted to put it out to be like, this is what I live with when I wake up and I go, I want to go to college. But it's very strange because I'm not too bothered about wearing it just out. If I'm going out to see friends, I'm going to the shop, I'll just walk around earless.
Will you?
Yeah, I get a couple looks every now and then, but yeah.
But so you should.
Yeah,
absolutely. You should, because this is you, and you shouldn't have to hide that in any way, shape or form. And I see the video. I want to attach your video so people can see it. And it's really amazing because you're there and you've got your glue. Is it adhesive glue?
Yeah, it's medical adhesive glue.
Medical adhesive glue. And then you're there and you kind of
steroids.
And then you are your shape and you kind of sizing it up, and then you pop it on. And then you also have your makeup.
Yes, so I did forget to bring that, but it's a cream concealer, but it's made for people with kind of darker scars and stuff. I mean, I use it as concealer anyway.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's
it can
really
cover
good.
Up tattoos. It's so they put it obviously around here, and it's heat activated, so it warms up, and then you've got setting powder and everything, and it's just like it completely gets rid of it. But since I got it, I haven't really used it that often.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't. Like, I'm not all. Oh no, I don't wear makeup because I obviously do. But I don't see the point in it. There's no reason. Yeah. It's an extra step and extra money I need to spend on it. So I might as well just keep it for. I mean, I've had it for 2 years now, and I've barely broken the top of it. So
just need it as and when.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with those TikToks, and do you know what? TikTok can be a curse and it can be a blessing, because you posting that video, you've reached out to 18 million people. That's
on top
crazy.
of another 8 million as well.
That's a lot. On top of another 8 million. That's a lot of people, Kiera. You have just instantly got attention of, and you have told, and you've educated. Yeah. And it's something people don't see every day. And it's, if anything, TikTok's good because it's those quick, snappy videos. Exactly. So it's almost like
go through.
You've seen what can happen.
Yeah.
If you mess up, like you're around on train tracks, because now they're watching this girl living with the consequence of what's happened. And I think it was really brave of you to do that and forget those negative comments of people, because you've got to look at the good ones where people went, "Whoa, thank you for sharing."
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. It's very strange because when you post something, you are asking for people to say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
People have said to me, "Oh, do you know, why don't you start doing influencing about your accident and kind of make a stand and get money off it?" So that video with 18 million would have got $3,000. Yeah, from that video alone, with the comments and the likes on it, would have got $3,000. But I just said to myself, and it's not me being, "Oh, I'm too big for that." Do you know what I mean? No. But I strictly just don't want to get into influencing that kind of thing, because it comes with many bad side effects. People will dox you for saying one wrong thing, and this is the kind of thing. But yeah, it's strange. I don't post as much about it anymore, but the thing as well, what would I do apart from reiterate my story over and over again, and then people would get sick of it. So I kind of go with hoping that people have kept that in their head, that it's not nice.
No, you're raising awareness at the end of the day. And also there are people that have been through similar situations to yourself and don't want to talk about it anymore. They've lived through it. They don't want to keep living through it. And that's why I feel so sensitive around your story today, and feel so thankful that you've trusted me with it, because this isn't an easy thing, and I don't want to ever take that for granted or ask you more than I need to.
No, not at all.
It's your story completely.
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't open for any question.
Oh, bless you.
It's also obviously talking about having to explain it to all of my friends, and then obviously doing it online as well. If I've shared it with like over 18 million people on TikTok, I can do it here with someone that I know. So yeah.
When you say you use humour quite a bit too. I love that.
Definitely,
because also if you don't laugh, you'll cry in certain situations, is what people say.
Exactly.
But when you're reminded of that night, or if there's something that you see and it triggers you, do you have any other coping strategies that you like to do to get yourself in a better positive mindset?
It's very strange. I don't really have that much that kind of triggers me about it. The only thing that does is smells.
Really?
Being in a hospital for so long, you get used to the smell of saline and antibacterials, and it's this weird kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's hospital-y, and there are times where I'll be out in public and I get stuff like that happen, and it's just, I don't know where I learned it from. I think it was in primary school when I first kind of started struggling with ADHD. I was told to do this thing where you get your hand.
Yeah.
You take your pinky, where it's kind of here, and you go... Yes, you go up and you breathe in. So that's for 3, and then you exhale for kind of 4, 5, and then do the same thing over and over again, and just do that until you feel better. And I mean...
Oh, I love that.
I use it every now and then, but it's mainly for sensory overload of smell. Also the whole 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. That is, I can't stress enough how grounding that kind of process is.
Yeah.
Just being able to know, look, I'm safe. I'm not in the hospital anymore. It's not going to happen again, kind of thing. Those 2 things have definitely helped.
I love that, Kiera. I have never heard of that. You've taught me something. Yeah. That's like a breathing technique.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you're
calming.
Breathing, but also focusing on the feeling of it going in between your fingers. Do you know what I mean?
That's amazing. I've heard of the 3 things you can see. I've heard of that, but I've never.
It's definitely.
I should probably take that into practice with some things, because that's really.
Especially if you struggle with sensory overload and kind of, especially people with autism and stuff like that. I mean, for a while I thought I had it, but stuff like that 100% helps.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that.
I know.
Really love that. I'm definitely stealing that one.
I still don't know where I've learnt it from, and I wish I could go back to the
teacher
that
just
told
say thank
me.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
But it stayed with you.
Yeah.
So hopefully who's someone maybe watching this today and just kind of will think, I'm going to take that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Is there anything that you feel like your disability now holds you back doing things that you used to do?
I think physically not as much anymore. Obviously, when I first had my accident, I lost all of the feeling in my feet because my sciatic nerve had kind of been burnt off and severed. My feet had what's called drop foot, and I lost a lot of kind of being able to just walk. I had to relearn how to walk again.
Wow.
So that definitely, back then, it definitely challenged me, and I couldn't walk to the shop on my own.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk out my house on my own. If I was going anywhere, I had to be given a lift to, and that really made me struggle. But now, as much, I'm not too bad with that. But it's definitely being deaf on just one ear. I have to dictate where I sit and who I speak to, because there's certain people that mumble, and especially if I'm at the pub and someone's sat on the right side of me mumbling, and I'm just like, look, I'm so sorry, horrible, I can't hear Nash. I can't hear anything. So yeah, busy situations, I lose all my social aspect because I can't hear anyone.
Yeah.
Unless I'm literally lips to ear on this side of my face. But that's the only kind of physical side effect I've had, apart from a lot of nerve pain in my coccyx and shins.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not too bad. I've definitely had the good side of the good end of the stick, whatever
Absolutely.
it's called.
You've got the best out of a bad situation.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
And when I read up online about the third rail on Network Rail, it does state on there, this is something a lot of people will not survive if you touch that.
Exactly.
That rail.
Third degree, but electrical burns keep burning for 3 months after the initial contact, because electricity attack, I think it was something the ex-partner had said, that because electricity attacks water, it stays in your bloodstream and it stays in your toxins, and that's why my kidney and my liver failed, is because it was trying to flush out all the electricity in my fluids. So they keep burning for 3 months after. So obviously,
that is incredible.
Even if I got physically better, I would have had to stay in the hospital anyway, because they just kept going.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think the most important message with your incident is just that third rail does exist. To don't take that risk. And
I wish it was part of a school curriculum, or
it really should be.
Tutor times. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I feel passionate for you to be here today, because when I'd met you, I had loads of things running through my head thinking, wait, actually, I don't think I really know much about train tracks. And just that you just don't go down there. Or
because obviously you have the people that study trains for a living, or people that do it as a hobby, and they know everything. And that was a lot of the kind of subgroup of people who were saying, oh, how didn't you know? Is people that go train watching and stuff like that. But it's just, I know it's said over and over again, but it's just not talked about enough.
No.
I think there was only, in the amount of people I've told, and I've told a lot of people about my accident, I've met so many new people in the last 2 years, maybe a handful of 200 people have known about the third rail, and everyone else has gone like, no, what's third rail? Because the first thing I start off is I go, do you know what the third rail is? And they go, no. And I'm like, well, this is what it does, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think telling people what it does rather than how it works is what deters them from ever going down the track. Because a lot of my friends will go to London and they'll cross over the tracks, and I go, please don't do that, because I would hate for you to end up how I did.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't want to stereotype that it's all young people and it happens to people under.
It is, though.
It's more of a case of, like you say, kids don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah,
they don't want to be stubborn. And
as sad as it is, I'll say it myself. It's the whole thing of, I'm on a train track. I'm so cool.
I'm where I shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm where I shouldn't be. I'm rebelling, kind of thing. It is definitely a whole point of it.
Yeah.
Like when I was down there, it's a thrill. And
absolutely,
it's
adrenaline rush. Yeah,
exactly. And that's, especially nowadays when there's not really much to do. Instead of doing drugs and stuff, you seek kind of going to. I mean, at least with my group of friends back in the day, we used to kind of. I say back in the day, a couple of years ago, but
a couple of months ago.
We go to abandoned buildings. Oh
my gosh, Kiera, so did our groups. I remember them at school, like
people chore,
going to quarries.
You go to quarries, you go fishing, and I mean, even when there was a quarry in our village, I used to go to a lot, and my mum told me, she was like, "Please don't ever go in," and I go, "Well, why? Everyone else is doing it." And she'd make me sit out because one of her friends, I think, had either gone into hospital or died from being sucked under a current in a quarry. Because obviously the top layer of quarries will look fine, but then there is a understream of current that just sucks you under, and it's freezing and you go into shock, kind of thing. But
whoa, oh my god,
that's not the point. As, again, you get taught about that kind of stuff because it happens. Unless you're taught, you're not gonna know.
Yeah. And it's what was really important. Network Rail mentioned to me and said to me that in a group of people, it just takes that one person. It takes one person to say to just go and to take that risk for everyone in that group to follow suit. Yeah. I want to hope now that you're the one person in your group that has shown and been the example of it can be bad. It's the common
metaphor of, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it? And I used to always turn around to my mum and I go, well, yeah. Because it's your friends. Yeah, because it's very sad. Obviously, my accident was my fault entirely. But it's with friends. people will follow suit, especially if the person doing it is the leader of the group or whatever it is. It's nowadays, its popularity is so key to being able,
of course, peer pressure
to function in a social society. It's not,
and to maintain a spot in a social group at school. You've got to look like the cool kid.
Yeah, be able to not be bullied or kind of things. And I was always seeking for ways to not be seen as kind of this weird kind of freak who was into weird things. And I guess it ended me up. My accident definitely had a silver lining. I was going down a bad path before. So that's the main reason I talk about it so much, is because it's completely changed my path of life,
your whole personality, and your, like you say, your path. That's so beautiful that now you've almost got like I'm
now doing biology at college, so that I
can.
Yeah, I'm doing biology at college so that I can hopefully go into nursing, and I really hope at the same hospital that I was in.
Really?
Yeah, I would like to be a child's nurse, or
Kiera,
a child psychologist, or a burn psychologist, anything under that kind of wing of dealing with children, because when you're at that age and you're supposed to be out there and you're seeing everyone's Instagram stories of them going clubbing and stuff. I've never been clubbing once. I've only ever been to pubs because I kind of never had that experience.
You never reached
going college clubbing, the
legal age of drinking, and
at
exactly 16 you weren't. So then,
well,
well, you know, legally, legally. So it's unfortunately you missed out on those opportunities. Yeah,
I think the way I put it is kind of over exaggerated as it sounds. I had my teenage years shredded from me because of my own mistakes.
Yeah.
And it was a very hard pill to swallow, but I think now it's very easy to just say that it was my fault, I was a bit stupid, but I've very much learned from it, and I would love, because there are other people who don't know about it.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I don't want them to make the same mistake as me, where they get so involved with making sure everyone thinks they're cool that they do something stupid.
Yeah. I think you're so right. I agree on everything you're saying, because it's really sad.
I hope so.
I really do. It's your story. I'm like, yes, I just think you're amazing.
Thank you.
My last question would be to you.
Yeah.
Is there a quote that you like to live by when times get a bit tough? Is there something that you like to revert to for comfort?
Oh, goodness. I had one that I told you about. And it was something along the lines of, it's happened. You move past. It's in the past. There is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
There is no point in staying attached to something that's happened when you're just going to keep reliving it and giving yourself more psychological trauma.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could say is start being in a good mindset, even if you're not.
Yeah.
It's almost placebo, telling yourself, I'll be fine. It's happened. There's nothing I can do about it. Get on with it.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is, there's people that say to me all the time, like, I'll go to my mum, oh, my nerve pain's really bad. She goes, you've been dealing with it for a year now. Get over it. I go, fair enough.
Fair enough, thanks, Mum.
Yeah.
And that goes down again to your family, your support group.
Exactly. I mean, my mum used to live on a farm. She's kind of, get on with it. Do you know?
Get
on with it.
Yeah,
I almost got stuck in a meat grinder when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh.
Wow.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's happened. Get on with it.
I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
I've said that multiple times.
I know.
I'll keep saying it.
I really appreciate you letting me come on and kind of tell people.
Oh my word, don't thank me. I thank you. Like, this is like such a special and sensitive story of yours that's so personal. No one's kind of story would be the same for someone else who might be in your situation. So I thank you so much for trusting me with your story. I think you're so brave and courageous, and just love you basically at the end of the day. So at the end of this video, I'm going to attach a link to the website You Versus Train, which is a website that was set up by Network Rail in partnership with the British Transport Police back in 2018. It's an informative website that speaks all on the dangers of the railway, has a little bit on there about the third rail, and they, from what I spoke to them last week. They have got multiple campaigns that they're running now and that are coming out in the summer. So keep your eye out on that. And it's something that people, again, are thinking, this is just common knowledge. People know it, but actually people don't, because real life people are faced with these situations and fall into this accident. And so go on there, have a little read. I really enjoyed reading it because I learned things on there that I definitely did not know before. So read about it, tell your family, your friends, tell anyone about it, because just putting it on someone's radar really could change someone's life and make someone see this issue in a different way. So thank you so much. And Kiera, thank you.
It's all right. Thank you for having me. Thank you.